Forrest Gump is a 1994 film that was directed by Robert Zemeckis. I remember being a kid and owning this movie on VHS. I watched it a few times, but honestly, I haven't watched it since. It's been so many, I guess, decades at this point that I didn't remember nearly as much of this movie as I thought I did. So rewatching this now was quite a trip. It was very amusing. It was almost like watching it for the first time. Tom Hanks, of course, plays Forrest Gump, and I think Tom Hanks is great in this movie. He is. It's easy for me to try to look for flaws in his performance or try to say that because he won two Oscars back to back that, oh, maybe he didn't deserve it. Some people think Pulp Fiction got shafted, and it probably did. But it's hard to watch this movie and not talk about how good the film is and Tom Hanks is. Tom Hanks, even by this point in his career, was starting to show how versatile he was, not just playing comedies, but playing dramas and playing somebody who, does he have special needs? The long debate on is Forrest Gump mentally challenged. I'm going to take a wild guess and say he's autistic, but at this time they maybe didn't really know what that was. He seems smart enough. He seems intelligent enough. It's just the way he talks, the way he interacts with other people. That's what separates him from anyone else. But this performance, you almost forget that this is Tom Hanks. Watching these scenes, he feels like his own real person. All of those scenes throughout the movie where Forrest Gump meets the presidents, the different presidents like Nixon and JFK or John Lennon on that talk show. It's quite funny because I think as a kid, maybe I did think it was a true story. I don't know. Sally Field plays his mother. You see how important she was to his life. He's constantly quoting her and taking those life lessons with him along the way. Who ends up being his best friend, Bubba. The whole sequence when Forrest Gump is in the military, I mean, first of all, you're scared to death for this guy, and the prospect of him being in the middle of Vietnam War is very scary. But you see how brave he was. You see how much he cared for his fellow soldiers and how he tried to save everyone. It's very sad to see what happens with Bubba, but the whole idea of the shrimp boat and how Forrest promised that to him and how that even ends up taking off as a successful business and the billions of dollars he makes off of that. I mean, my God, Forrest, for what seems to be like his shortcomings, he sure had a pretty damn great life. Lieutenant Dan. I forgot how sad Lieutenant Dan's story was. He starts off as his superior in the war, but then he loses his legs because of the explosion that happened, and Forrest saved him. And when Forrest goes to see him and he has the long hair, he looks homeless, he's depressed, he's angry, he's bitter, he's sad, he hates everything. That was depressing. I forgot all about that. In fact, the moment when they're in the bar for New Year's and you see everyone celebrating confetti and cheering, and Lieutenant Dan is just staring off into nowhere, looking lost. It's sad as hell, but I couldn't help but be reminded of the numerous memes that have now been made because of that one shot. Is Jenny a bitch? Is Jenny a horrible, terrible human being? Jenny, of course, is played by Robin Wright. You see through many scenes that they grew up together. She was the only person that would let him sit next to her on the school bus. She was very nice to him. She hung out with him almost every day. She never wanted to go home because we find out that her father was abusing her. And she lived with her grandmother, but even then she seemed like she didn't want to be there, and she would sneak out to sleep in Forrest's bed. I'm talking about when they were children. When you see Jenny in college trying to date around and be a little promiscuous, Forrest Gump is not like that, quick to come to her aid. And sure, I'm not saying that just because they were close that Jenny has to date him if she doesn't have those feelings, but I think it's pretty clear pretty early on that Forrest has those feelings for her, and she never quite makes it clear to him that what she feels. Sure, she's lost. Sure, she had a horrible childhood, and yes, she gets into drugs and maybe prostitution, and she gets involved with bad boyfriends who abuse her. But the fact that Forrest was always there for her, he never held anything against her in these moments where she sort of made him feel dumb for sticking up for her. And it's not until, look, they do sleep together. Apparently he has a child with her. He didn't know about it. The kid's like 3 or 4 years old, and when he finds out, I mean, that whole sequence when Forrest is walking and running, he's actually running for like what, close to 3 years, because Jenny broke his heart. That was insane. That was insane. But once he finds out about this child, and Jenny ends up being sick, I think she has AIDS. Like, what? Now she wants to marry him? Now she wants to be with him? Where the hell was she? She says she loved him eventually. She said all these things. If you felt that way, or if it could have been like that, you maybe wouldn't have had to go through all of that horrible shit that you went through if you had been with Forrest from the beginning. I just felt bad for Forrest, man. Every time he was shot down by her, or he was let down by her, I guess. For her to come around at the end, and he only got so much time with her before she was too sick. It's sad, guys. It's sad. I couldn't believe that Haley Joel Osment played his son. I completely forgot about that way before The Sixth Sense. But yes, overall, I'm really just going through this because I forgot a lot of this movie, and I really enjoyed rewatching it. I really got into the story and everything that went down. I hope you guys have already seen this film and it wasn't just me spoiling it for the whole way through. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comments below what do you think of Forrest Gump, the movie. Did you like it? Did you love it? Is it one of Tom Hanks' best? Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Later!